faced the Rangers in his big league career. So Ian Kinsler will get the first look. The leadoff man 0 for 6 last night. Richmond with the delivery, and it's strike one. We're well underway now. After a crazy day in Blue Jay land, 2 players going on the disabled list, Ricky Romero and BJ Ryan. This ball hit in the air into center field, and Vernon Wells is there. 2 pitches in, and Kinsler is retired. That gives us a chance to look at the Blue Jays defensively.
Tonight, defensively, it will be Snyder, Wells, and Rios in the outfield. Rowland at third, Scudero at short, Hill at second, Overbay at first. Barajas with the 2 home runs, a big ball game last night, will be back behind the plate this evening, and Scott Richmond on the mound.
Richmond now facing Michael Young, the man who extended the game last night with that drive deep to center field off BJ Ryan in the 9th inning. A career 300 hitter. He averages between 50 and 20 home runs a year. He grounds this ball to third base. Scott Rowland goes to first to get Young. So 2 quick outs here for Scott Richmond. Back comes Josh Hamilton, who did not start the game last night, but did come in and pinch hit in the 9th inning. Grounding out on the occasion, but driving in a run. Hamilton now in his 3rd year in the big leagues, 2nd with Texas. Last year finishing up with a .304 average, 32 home runs, and he led the American League with 130 RBIs.
Hamilton off to a slow start this year. Comes into the ball game hitting just .226, 1 home run, 9 RBIs. And he looks to me like right now he's just not letting the ball travel quite enough. He's a little bit out in front, maybe pulling off a little bit at times.
He said earlier, Rance, he's chasing pitches, bad pitches, and getting himself out because of it.
See the last 2 seasons, the big RBI producers, he's in some very good company.
2-1, now 3-1.
It's not uncommon when you get into a little bit of a slump or when you get off to a slow start early in the season, you start to press a little bit, and then that you're prone to chase pitches that are out of the strike zone or are borderline, not a good pitch to hit.
He swings and misses there. Is it also a case, though, of because he had such a good year last year, pitchers are adjusting the way they throw to him?
I don't think so.
No?
I really don't. I think right now with him it's more of just a mental approach combined with maybe some mechanics that are off just a bit.
This liner to right field is caught right at the laces by Alex Rios. And Scott Richmond using 10 pitches to get a 1-2-3 first.
And a tough chance for Alex Rios, a line drive, which is very difficult for an outfielder to read. He's able to come on and shoestring it. Outstanding play.
To Dave Abraham, one of the trainers here on staff with the Blue Jays. As we learned today that Ryan will go on the 15-day disabled list after a rather shaky outing last night, giving up a 3-run lead in the ninth. Still, the Blue Jays were able to take the W, and they can thank Aaron Hill for his contribution offensively. A 7-game hit streak for Aaron. He's been a steady contributor to the Jays so far this year. Lyle Overbay checks in after sitting out last night's game with a left-hander on the mound for Texas. Tonight they go to a righty, and it's the veteran Kevin Millwood. So Millwood, who's coming off a very good start against Kansas City, a complete game loss in his last outing, faces the walking machine Marco Scutaro. Marco has worked 15 free passes so far this year. That's number 2 in the American League.
Kevin Millwood, you mentioned, Jamie, off to a good start, allowing just 3 earned runs in his 23 innings of work so far into the season. Coming into tonight's game, the only concern you might have if you're the Texas Rangers for Kevin Millwood is the fact that in each of his starts, he's thrown 111 or more pitches, and he is working on 4 days rest here this evening instead of his normal 5.
It's a ball and 2 strikes to Scutaro. Teagarden sets up outside, and it's run back across the plate for strike 3. And so Scutaro's gone looking.
Kevin Millwood, a 1-1 record. As you mentioned, he lost a tough outing in his last one. Complete game, lost 2-0. Opponents hitting just 177 against him. And great command so far, 23 innings, just the 4 walks. Always seems like anytime a pitcher's having success, the base on balls are way down.
Liner by Hill into left field. David Murphy is there. And you can't fault Aaron for being aggressive.
Defensively for the Rangers, Murphy gets the start in left this evening. Hamilton back in center after missing last night's ball game. Appeared as a pinch hitter. Cruz and right. Young and Andrus on the left side of the infield. Kinsler and Davis on the right side. Teagarden will do the catching this evening, and veteran Kevin Millwood doing the pitching for the Texas Rangers.
The Blue Jays collectively have hit 25 home runs this year. Millwood, in 23 innings of work, has only allowed 1. So they are in tough against the veteran here, as it's fouled back by Alex Rios. And Rents, if I had told you that 16 games in, 10 different Blue Jays would have hit home runs, but Alex Rios would not be one of them, you would have said?
I would have taken that bet all day long.
But that is indeed the case. However, Alex had a 4-hit game last night. So he was able to bump his average up to 246. It had been hovering around the Mendoza line. 1-1. Breaking ball off the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Millwood, a 2-time 18-game winner over 6 years with the Atlanta Braves. And just 3 years ago, in fact 4 years ago with Cleveland, back in 2005, he was the American League earned run average leader with a 2.86 in 30 starts. That enabled him to sign a big contract with Texas. So he's in his 4th year with the Rangers after signing as a free agent prior to 2006. Two and two, and this one's coming straight back and out of play.
Kevin Millwood's interesting. Has a 78 and 52 career record in 169 starts when he throws 100 or more pitches in a contest.
Line shot to right field, falling quickly, and Nelson Cruz, just like Rios himself, ends the first inning with a nice catch near the shoes. Online while watching this broadcast. Answer questions based on what you see for your chance to win a 52-inch Sharp Aquos LCD TV. Here's how you do it. Log on to sportsnet.ca/baseball game and launch it right now. Two teams that can launch the ball square off tonight at Rogers Center. Texas against Toronto, the third and final game of this series. Scott Richmond with his second pitch dives down and away from Hank Blaylock, and the DH has a 1-1 count. He's the first hitter in the second.
Good changeup from Scott Richmond, and when you can do that in a fastball count, you can really make yourself effective, because anytime in a 1-0 count you can throw something other than a fastball for a strike, it does put that in the back of the hitter's mind, and sometimes that'll allow you to get the next pitch, maybe a fastball, and get it on him a little bit.
2-1, and good break on that baseball. A 2-2 count. Got a very good slider, one he showed off against the Twins 8 days ago. Blaylock lets that one pass. 3-2. And here comes the payoff. It's popped into center field. And Vernon Wells camps under the ball, one away. Through 16 games, the team has won 11 and lost 5. The ERA from a year ago up slightly. But the Blue Jays are making it work this year.
The improved offense has definitely helped, but that number there with the bullpen is a little misleading. Bullpen got off to a slow start the first 7 or 8 ball games of this season, but lately they have been outstanding, with the exception, unfortunately, of the 9th inning last night. They've really stepped it up.
Nelson Cruz now can't catch up to a 92-mile-an-hour heater from Richmond on the first pitch. So the right-hander gets ahead in the count, and that ball is up high, 1-0, or excuse me, 1-1. And a base hit to left field for Cruz after Richmond had retired the first 4.
They just have to give Cruz some credit here. Not a bad pitch from Richmond. A slider that's down and away from him pretty good. He hits it right off the end of the bat. But it goes for a base hit for Nelson Cruz.
1 out and 1 on for Chris Davis then, who got that 9th inning rally started last night after he was hit on the second pitch from B.J. Ryan. He took one off his left hand. "15 minutes later, a rather stunned gathering here watched as the Rangers tied the game at 7 apiece. Swung on and missed 0-2.
And it looks like, going back to last night's game and here in his first at bat in this one, the Jays are trying to pitch him inside, primarily stay hard with him, try to keep it at the belt or slightly above, and if you throw something off speed, make sure you get it down and out of the strike zone. And you see once again Rod Barajas setting up inside. Scott Richmond hits the glove. And most certainly that last pitch had Davis tied in knots.
You wonder what Richmond must be feeling these days. He edged out Brad Mills for the 5th spot in the rotation at the end of training camp. Since then, Jesse Litch has gone down. Now Ricky Romero. Suddenly the Blue Jays are going to lean on this right-hander. Offers the breaking ball and gets a strikeout of Chris Davis. That's a nasty curve from Scott Richmond. It certainly paid off there.
That's just very good pitching by Richmond. Those fastballs in on the hands. Naturally, the hitter's going to gear up to try to catch up, and then you throw him a good overhand breaking ball, and you have him well out in front. Just nice pitching by Scott Richmond.
So now he faces David Murphy, who's making his first start in the series. Murphy started his big league career with the Boston Red Sox, was dealt to Texas with Eric Gagne going the other way. In fact, he made his big league debut against the Jays at Fenway Park and picked up his first hit off of A.J. Burnett. Two down in the second inning. Nelson Cruz at first. Scott Richmond with a 1-1 pitch. Two and one. Scott went 6 1/3 in his last outing as the Blue Jays defeated Minnesota 12-2. He allowed just 1 earned run and 4 hits. It's a fly ball out of Murphy into left field. There's Travis Snyder, and that's it for the Rangers in the second inning. A hit, 1 man left, no runs in. We go to the bottom of the inning next. From Gastonia, North Carolina, gets the start tonight against the Jays, and here's what he features.
A fastball that touches 92, slider, curve, and change. And the veteran knows how to pitch.
Several Jays in the lineup tonight have good numbers career against Millwood. Vernon Wells is not one of them. 2 for 13 career, a 154 average against Millwood. He hits it high and deep, though. Left center field, going well back into the seats and gone. Take those statistics and throw them right out the window. There is no better way to break out of an 0 for 14 slump.
When the ball was first hit, I wasn't sure that Wells had gotten enough of it for it to go out of the ballpark, but this ball just keeps carrying and easily made it into the seats. And one of the deepest part of the ballpark.
And with that home run, Vernon Wells now takes over sole possession of 4th place on the all-time Blue Jay list, passing Jesse Barfield. So congratulations to Vernon. Here now Adam Lind, the designated hitter. One pitch, and that's hit high in the air. This one stays in the park, though. Vernon now has 180 home runs career. Only 3 Jays stand ahead of him. George Bell, Joe Carter, and Carlos Delgado up at the top with 336 as a Blue Jay.
Yeah, I mentioned at the bottom of the first inning that Kevin Millwood is 26 games over 500 and 169 starts when he throws more than 100 pitches in a game, which leads you to believe that he's either very, very good and goes deep into the game, or he's doesn't have it and is out of the ball game quite early oftentimes.
Well, he's gone deep in 3 starts so far this year. A complete game loss against Kansas City last time out, and 2 7-inning affairs against Cleveland and Detroit. Broken bat, and here is Young. One hopping it to first and getting rolling. Boy, Michael Young, moving over to third base to start the year, in the 3 games we've seen, Rance, has looked exceptional at the position. It's one you know a few things about.
He has been very, very good. No reason why he really wouldn't be. He has excellent quickness, and we've seen him do this a number of times in the series. Hop or skip the ball off of the turf on that long throw to first base and take advantage of this turf, instead of try to carry the ball all the way to first base in the air. We've actually seen the shortstop Andrus do that a time or two also.
Young was a Gold Glover at short last year. What's the biggest difference, the biggest adjustment that you have to make going from short to third?
For me, the biggest adjustment is that shortstop, when you're in the middle of the field, you see the baseball or the pitch going through the strike zone, and it's easier to read and maybe get a jump with the ball off the bat. At third base, that's not the case. You don't. It's like you see the bat out front, and here comes the baseball.
Here comes ball 2 on Lyle Overbay.
That and the bunt situations, learning how, where you need to position yourself.
Two and 2 on Overbay. In his first 7 games, he hit 176 with a couple of RBIs. Since then, Lyle's hitting 474 with 2 home runs and 7 runs driven in. Perhaps that timing is coming back. Here's the 2-2 pitch, and that misses. That voice you hear behind home plate, Hunter Wendelstedt, the home plate umpire. Two out in the inning, a 3-2 pitch on the way to Overbay, and it's taken foul.
You mentioned that the Jays have already this season 3 walk-off victories. Of course, the man at the plate responsible for one of them over the weekend. And the Jays last year did not have their 3rd walk-off victory until July 25th against Seattle.
Imagine that. They had to wait a long time. This is well stroked out to center field. Josh Hamilton on the run. It's over his head and over the wall. Oh, Lyle Overbay with a line shot to the deepest part of the park. It seems, Rance, like Lyle is locked in.
Last 5 games he has been. And throughout the course of the at-bat, Millwood had made a lot of quality pitches to Lyle Overbay. 3-2. He fought off a couple of very tough ones and finally gets one that catches just a little too much of the plate. And that ball was hit very hard.
So here are the Blue Jays, who have now hit as a team 27 home runs in this early portion of the year. 2 so far in the inning. And the man who had 2 in the game last night is standing in there now. Swung on and missed at the breaking ball. 0-2 on Rod Barajas. Little floater out toward right field. And Davis backs off first to make the play. The second comes to an end. The Blue Jays get 2 hits, but they are 2 long hits. First, Vernon Wells into 4th place all time among Blue Jay home run leaders. And then Overbay makes it a 2-0 Blue Jay lead. Rogers high-speed internet, the fastest and most reliable, period. Thanks to Rod Barajas a night ago, the Blue Jays are one of 3 teams, Texas and Colorado included, to have 10 players with at least 1 home run this year. By my calculation, they have now hit 2 in the same inning 4 different times this season, with 2 coming in the bottom of the second, Wells and Overbay. So the home team leads, and Taylor Teagarden, the backup catcher, gets the start tonight, catching Kevin Millwood. He faces Scott Richmond for the first time. Teagarden's one of the good young catchers that the Rangers have in their system. Played his university ball at the University of Texas, where he shared the catching duties with Curtis Thigpen. A 3rd-round pick from Texas back in 05. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and he waves at that one. The ball recovered by Barajas, and Richmond has his 2nd strikeout. Well, tonight is ladies' night out at the ballpark, and the next one is coming your way on May the 14th. I was just reading that sign. I don't think she wants to be on TV. Why bring the sign then? May the 14th, the Blue Jays and Yankees sit in the ladies' night out section and receive a Blue Jay cap. And one lucky fan will win a $300 shopping spree at the Jays shop.
Did we ever determine why they don't want to be on TV?
As far as I could tell, she doesn't want her fiance to know she's at the game tonight. So she brings a sign announcing that, as Scudero from behind second throws out Elvis Andrus. Let's get another look. There we go. They don't know you're here, and they don't know you're probably going for drinks with Sam Cosentino after it's all over.
Are their fiancés already that controlling, or they just don't want them to know that they're here without them because maybe their fiancés would have loved to have been on board this evening?
Maybe.
All right, guys. All right.
Oh,
keep it down up there.
Sam's here. You've just heard from the 3rd member of the broadcast team.
Behind the plate tonight, Jamie.
Oh,
yeah. Just in case you guys are wondering, Rance, I know you're off.
I'm not concerned
wondering
with
about
you.
where I'm at.
You've put the dodge on me for about a week now, so I'm not where I care less where you're at.
Ian Kinsler now fouls it straight back. One ball and 1 strike. In the early going here, Richmond has pieced together a pretty good effort. In the 2 2/3 to this point, he struck out a pair and allowed just 1 base hit. That was to Nelson Cruz. Here's a wave and a miss from Mr. Kinsler, who falls behind. Excuse me, that evens the count at 2-2.
And as always the case, Richmond tonight, he's very good command, and he's done a very nice job of mixing up his pitches, keeping the hitters off balance.
And he goes there. Strikeout number 3 for Richmond tonight. Let's see if those bats can continue to pound the baseball when the last of the 3rd comes your way. Other game on your computer at home. It's possible with MLB.tv, the ultimate baseball experience featuring 100 out-of-market games per week live on your computer. You want more details? Please visit BlueJays.com, where baseball is always on. Bottom of 3, 2-0 for the Jays. This is Jamie Campbell with Rance Mulliniks and Sam Cosentino, sending a belated 85th birthday wish to James Scully, watching tonight in Waterloo, Ontario. Number 9 hitter Travis Snider is up, facing Kevin Millwood. Here's the 0-1 pitch. It's lined to center field. Josh Hamilton to his right makes the play. Let's get a second word now from Mr. Cosentino. Sam, take it away.
Jamie, we'll do the best we can to update the rotation for you. Brian Talbot will pitch tomorrow against Mark Burley in Chicago to open that series. Saturday starter is to be determined, but the scuttlebutt is Brian Burris will be recalled from AAA Las Vegas. Keep an eye on what happens and who starts Las Vegas's game tonight. Brett Cecil, if he is to start, then obviously he won't be recalled. And then Sunday's matchup features Roy Halladay against Jose Contreras. So just to give you a little update on what's going on there as far as the pitching is concerned. Jamie, a little later in the show, we'll update you on some good news as far as the Blue Jays' health is concerned.
Sam, thank you. And let's just revisit the start times for the first 2 games in that series. Tomorrow night's game, and it's on Sportsnet, is an 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific start, while Saturday is a 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start. So note the difference in start times in games 1 and 2. Marco Scutaro takes ball 2. That Saturday start was originally going to go to Ricky Romero, but as you've probably learned today, he's on the disabled list. And J.P. Ricciardi was saying earlier today that sometime in early to mid-May they could get back not only Jesse Litch but Casey Jansen and perhaps even Dustin McGowan, as Scutaro grounds to Young at third, and it's dug out of the dirt by Davis. A nice play by the first baseman. So some of the incumbents are coming as soon as they return to health. In the meantime, we get to watch people like Scott Richmond tonight make claims to stay in the rotation. It's been a wild start to the year, Rance.
It most certainly has.
Game number 17. The Jays are 11-5. They started the year without Markham. They started the year without McGowan, and they lost Jesse Litch a week and change in, and they're still the best team in the American League East at this point.
And that's what good teams do. When someone goes down to injury, someone steps up and does a nice job for you until you can get the Ricky Romeros, the Jesse Litches back into this rotation. But it's going to present an opportunity to, a young pitcher or two to show what they can do here at the major league level.
Aaron Hill lined out to left in the first inning. Here a 1-2 count facing Kevin Millwood. The kick and the pitch, a breaking ball, and Hill puts it into the dugout. Aaron had 2 more hits last night, starting the day as the major league hits leader with 27. Two and two. And the great news, 16 games in, is we really haven't had to mention post-concussion syndrome. He's given us no reason to think it's even a problem anymore.
With all the talk about the offense, and rightfully so, you have to say that Brad Arnsberg has done a tremendous job preparing you know, some of these young pitchers for this '09 season, and they have really stepped up their game and been a pleasant surprise. And as it turns out, he's going to have to continue to really earn that money and earn his pay.
No question. Muscled to Andrews. A weird hop for the shortstop, and he throws it wildly to first base. Hey, Chris Davis has done a nice job of digging them out there so far tonight, but he can't get the glove on that one. And it's an error charged to the shortstop, Andrus.
For a young player, especially a young infielder at shortstop, the last thing to come around is consistency. And that ball looked like it took a little bit of an erratic hop. It was a ball that he probably should have been able to handle. Looked like a good long hop. The tough one is that one that's in between. That's not long, it's not short. It's somewhere in between is the difficult hop to handle. But Davis unable to come up with it.
That gives Alex Rios a chance to hit with a man on base. Hill takes a short lead at first. Rios hit the ball sharply to right field his first time aboard. And he grounds that one foul down the left side.
And although Rios pulled the ball foul, that is a very good sign. Talked about he started to look comfortable last night. And when Rios is in a good groove, that fastball in on the hands, you're not going to get it past him very often. He is extremely quick on the ball, the fastball middle in.
Alex just swung at ball 2. Instead, it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. For some reason, Kevin Millwood has never pitched well against the Blue Jays. 7 starts career and a 6.45 ERA. He's only won once. Not a great start here. The 2 hits he's given up have both exited the park. Home runs to Wells and Overbay. Solo shots in the second if you've just tuned in.
And Kevin Millwood just got away with a mistake there, trying to get that slider down on the outside corner just off the plate, and he hung it. Unfortunately for him, Rios fouls it off. You can see right there that was on middle in, and he just missed getting to it. Did Alex Rios. And that's really frustrating for a veteran pitcher. He knows I've got to count 1 and 2. If I'm going to miss, I got to get that, make sure I miss off the plate, away and down.
Here's a ball hit to center field. And there's Josh Hamilton to put away Rios and end the 3rd inning. After 3, it's the Blue Jays 2 and Texas no score. Foundation supports local charities throughout the Greater Toronto area and funds programs that support physical activity, education, and life skill development. If you'd like to find out a little more information about the Blue Jays Care Foundation, look at the website bluejays.com/jayscare or call for information at 416-341-1565. Under the roof tonight in Toronto, 2-0 for the Jays. Swing and a miss from Michael Young, who leads off the fourth inning. A one-time Blue Jay farmhand misses there too. A ball and 2 strikes.
In the first game against Halliday, it looked to me like Michael Young was pulling off the ball just a little bit. Then last night he was very good. Drove the ball into the right field corner for an extra base hit. Hit a ball out the ballpark to left center. And so far in the early going here tonight in 2 at-bats, he looks like he's pulling off a little out front again. There he chases another breaking ball. So he's clearly not giving himself a chance to see the baseball.
Richmond has now struck out 4. Second time through the order now for Texas. What kind of adjustments might we see from the Texas hitters?
Well, right now it's a tough adjustment for the Rangers because Scott Richmond is doing such a good job of locating and mixing his pitches up. It's difficult to get a pattern on what he's trying to do or how he's going to attack you as a hitter. Maybe the best thing to do, I always thought, when a pitcher is really got it going and he's mixing it up very well, is just pick one pitch and stay with it. You know, pick fastball and stay with that for the at bat, or something other than a fastball, and try to wait it out and hope when you get it that it's a pretty good one to hit.
He jams Hamilton, and we go downstairs once again to Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie Rance from my perch here behind the plate. Everything seems to be crisp. The fastball 91, 92. The slider being consistently thrown for strikes. The curveball's been put in his back pocket, and the couple that he's thrown have been thrown for strikes. And his big weapon so far is the changeup, which he has mixed in beautifully so far.
Tough customer here, though. 2-1 on Hamilton, who drills the ball to left field. Snyder back, and that one is gone. A slicing home run over the wall in left field, and Texas is on the board. Boy, that is just pure power.
Yes, it is. This is just tremendous strength. The ball actually ties him up a little bit, and he hits it down towards the label somewhat. But he is just so strong and generates so much bat head speed that he's able to muscle it out of the park. Most hitters, that's just a routine fly ball to left field. And that's what makes Hamilton so special.
It is now 2-1 as Hank Blaylock takes a ball outside. Another look. Hamilton's second home run of the year. Richmond on 2-0. Tries to power a fastball past Blaylock.
And I saw Hank Blaylock in the Texas League in 2001. He was at Tulsa. And I think he was 20 years old at the time. He was a very good looking hitter because he used the entire ballpark. He hit the ball to left field, to his opposite field very well. To me, he has become more of a pull hitter. And I think that's why along with injuries, that's why his numbers have declined, especially in terms of batting average. I really thought that year in, year out, this young man was going to be a guy that's going to always be right around 300 with his average, because he could hit the ball back up the middle into his opposite field very well.
2-2 pitch, and he shoots that ball into the corner in right field. Rios chases it down. Blaylock turns for second. The throw is late, and Blaylock has a double. So after keeping the Rangers at bay and getting the first out, Hamilton homers, and now Blaylock is on second base.
And just a breaking ball you see stays up, ends up right in the middle of the plate, about belt high.
Nelson Cruz comes back to the plate, 1 for 1, after he singled to left field in the second inning. And Richmond blows it past him. In his first start against Cleveland, Scott was a little wild, but we've seen a lot of 0-1s here. He's getting ahead of hitters with strike one.
And that's one of the reasons, if not the number one reason, why he's been effective so far in tonight's game.
And there's strike two.
Now you see, Cruz took that pitch, and you could tell he really didn't even offer it a fastball. That's a pretty good pitch to hit if he's looking for it, which would lead you to believe that he was looking for something other than a fastball.
Richmond now on 0-2. Runs it up and in. A ball and 2 strikes.
But that last pitch now will really open up, if he wants to, that outside corner.
Little breaking ball, and it's flared into right field, dropping in front of Rios. Blaylock had to wait for that ball to hit the turf, and so he advances to third.
This is just a miss to the location. They had him set up for this pitch. If you get it in the right spot, it hangs up. He's able to react to it and just dump it into right field. Cruz with his second hit tonight, and neither one of them have been hit very hard. But he's smiling. He's got 2 under the belt and got a chance to work on a third one his next at bat.
You know, for a big man and a power swing, he seems to bring his hands in nicely. He did that in the opener against Roy Halladay and hit it out of the park, in fact. There's a big cut from Chris Davis. Davis was a strikeout victim in the second inning. 3 straight hits here in the fourth for the Rangers. A home run, a double, and a single. Men on the corner, still just 1 away. 0-2 on Davis.
Well, the way he swung at the first 2 curveballs, you'd think maybe go back to it again, but might be a good idea to come in hard on his hands or throw the ball up and out of the strike zone and then go back to it.
They go with the curveball again, and they get him. Davis strikes out.
And Rod Barajas says, let's not even waste a pitch. Let's just stay with the one that he's looked very bad on. Just another great curveball. That's where you want to let it finish down and out of the strike zone.
With that, Richmond has tied a single game career high of 5 strikeouts, first established last August against the Cleveland Indians. David Murphy now looks at strike one, another curveball. No doubt Scott's dad, Dr. Bob Richmond, who's watching tonight in Sussex, New Brunswick, will be proud of his son. And would love to see him get out of this inning, just giving up the 1 run.
All of a sudden, that pitch that he had put in his back pocket for a while has now been very effective for him.
Different look there as he goes with the fastball up and away.
You know, sometimes, a veteran catcher like Rod Barajas, when he realizes that you have a pitch that has good action and is working for you, you do a nice job to stay with it, make sure you use it.
As you mentioned, Barajas, a veteran catcher and a former Texas Ranger. He must know these hitters quite well. you haven't seen Richmond shake him off much, if at all, tonight.
I don't recall. I'm sure he has a time or two, but I do not recall Richmond shaking Rod Barajas off.
Rod keeps it in front. So here with 2 out in the 4th inning, Blaylock at third, Cruz at first base, and the Blue Jays with a 1-run lead. And Richmond trying to get the left fielder David Murphy. The home run has been the story so far tonight. The Blue Jays have 2. Texas has 1. All 3 solo shots. Richmond has thrown 23 pitches this inning. The next one to Murphy is a fastball for strike 2. Two pitch. Runner goes from first. And Cruz is there uncontested.
Well, after nothing but curveballs and fastballs to Murphy in this at bat 2-2, Scott Richmond did shake off Barajas. Barajas wanted to go fastball away, then went curveball. He shook both of them off, went to slider, wanted to show Murphy a pitch that he hadn't seen in this at bat. I think that was a good idea. He just didn't execute.
3-2 to Murphy. Breaking ball tapped foul. After the stolen base, now 2 in scoring position. Ball 4. Base is loaded.
Well, the fans don't like it, but not bad pitching on the part of Scott Richmond. A left-handed hitter in Murphy, who had a solid rookie year for the Rangers. And you have the right-handed hitting catcher Teagarden on deck.
In his time in the big leagues, here are the splits home and road. Quite a difference, Rance.
Yes, it is, and very unusual. Usually pitchers perform better in their home ballpark than they do on the road. And it is remarkable, the number, especially that ERA, 2.22 on the road, 5.14 at home, and the batting average against him, just 210 somewhere other than the Rogers Center.
And don't be fooled by Taylor Teagarden's status as a backup catcher. Last year, when he came up for the first time to the big leagues, Teagarden hit 6 home runs in his first 12 games in the major leagues.
And I would not be surprised they start him with something other than a fastball here. And of course I say that, and they go right at him with a fastball.
There you go.
You always figure a young hitter's looking first pitch fastball, especially if you've just walked someone to load the bases.
Brad Arnsberg hoping his young right-hander can get out of a jam here. 1 strike on Teagarden, breaking ball, and it's sent foul. 0-2. Of interest, the last major leaguer to hit 6 home runs in his first 12 big league games was Carlos Delgado with the Blue Jays in '93 and '94. In fact, Delgado did it in 11 games that year.
And Carlos Delgado eventually ended up back in AAA trying to sort some things out and find his swing. Of course, goes without saying that he did a nice job of doing that.
0-2 on Teagarden, swung on and missed. And that is a huge strikeout for Scott Richmond. It leaves 3 on base. So Dr. Bob will be happy. Texas only gets 1. The Blue Jays still lead it. up on May the 17th. You can take a picture of your favorite Jay. You must have a game ticket and bring your own camera to be granted admission. The gates open at 11 a.m. and the session runs 11:30 till 12. Pick up your tickets at BlueJays.com. I still have the first photo I ever took of a Blue Jay on photo day 1979. It was Danny Ainge. And Scott Carson, our Sportsnet.ca columnist, tells me he still has one he snapped of Doug Ault in 1978. So a memorable day for Blue Jay fans. Photo day is the 17th of May this year. Pick up your tickets now. Wells, Lind, and Rowland coming to the dish in the fourth. Vernon has a home run in the game, his third of the year. Broke him out of an 0 for 14 stretch. At the top of your screen, all-time Blue Jay home runs. Delgado #1, Joe Carter 2, and now Vernon Wells alone in fourth place. With that strikeout of Teagarden in the fourth, Scott Richmond has established a new career high of 6 strikeouts in a game. Ball is popped up behind home. Teagarden in front of the Jays dugout puts away Wells. Down in that area is Sam Cosentino. Sam?
Well, Jimmy, just want to update you on what's going on as far as the Blue Jays' health is concerned, and some good news for some, at least anyhow. Casey Janssen is expected to make a rehab start in extended spring training Monday. Jesse Litch will throw tomorrow in Chicago. If he comes out of that well, he too will make an extended spring training start either Monday or Tuesday, so that's a good sign to see both of those guys pitching again. Sean Markham also progressing ahead of schedule right now. Dustin McGowan has increased range of motion in that right shoulder, but both of those guys still a ways away. But there is some hope for Markham to possibly get back on the mound for the Blue Jays this season.
Thank you for the update, Sam. Boy, out of sight, out of mind. You tend to forget that there are some very good pitchers on the staff here in Toronto that just haven't been around in a while. Guys like Markham and McGowan must be watching some of these games saying, I hope you save some of those runs for when I get back there. Because this Blue Jay team is really hitting the ball with authority in the early part of the year.
If you look at the lineup, they're going to hit. I mean, everybody's going to go through a spell where it collectively as a group, maybe you struggle a little bit offensively, but overall 162 games, they're going to put up runs.
It's amazing, though, Rance, that they couldn't hit at this point last year, because really these are, but for the odd change, the same players.
That's just a difference in approach. And you know, we talked about it an awful lot last year.
Little roller to Andrews at short, and he puts away Lind.
When you're aggressive with your approach and you have a plan where you're looking for one specific pitch, and when you get it or you get a good pitch to hit, you're aggressive, that's going to lead to more baseballs hit hard, as opposed to trying to work the count, where oftentimes you're hitting 1 and 2, 2-2 with that 2-strike count, and you can't be as aggressive. And I think that's really been the big difference with the offense so far in 09.
Ground ball up the middle, and Scott Rowland has a 2-out knock.
And last year, once the change was made with a different philosophy, when Cito Gaston and his crew came in, we saw just kind of gradual progress from the offensive standpoint through the rest of the season.
When we get to Kansas City on Monday, we will see John Gibbons, the old manager of the Jays. He's now a bench coach with KC.
And of course, having the opportunity to go through an entire spring training under Cito Gaston, Gene Tennis, I'm sure has helped as well.
Ball 1 to Lyle Overbay, who homered last time up.
Sam spoke about Jesse Litch going to throw in Chicago. I'd be curious to know if he's going to throw off flat ground or actually throw off a mound in the bullpen. He's throwing off the mound. He's feeling pretty good. Flat grounds would show that being more cautious. I don't know if Sam has that information or not. But.
Well, perhaps he can get it before the game concludes.
Yeah, you know what, Rance? That wasn't determined, but based on the fact that if he is going to make a start Monday or Tuesday, I think it would be treated like a side session, and so it would seem to me that it would be off the mound.
That's
good point.
Excellent point.
So clearly Sam is not hanging out in the ladies' night out section. He's actually doing some work here tonight. Watching Kevin Millwood face Lyle Overbay. Rolling at first, strike 2 called. Breaking ball is outside. So it's a full count now to Overbay with 2 gone. Rolling at first will take off early. Here comes the pitch inside, ball 4. 2 men on and 2 men out. On the Road is brought to you by Hampton Hotels at Hampton. We love having you here. So here is the situation for the Jays. After tonight, they'll fly to Chicago for 4 games in Kansas City, come home for a quick 5-game homestand, and then play the Angels and A's on the road, their first time on the West Coast.
Talk about injuries. That Angel Ball Club is one that's going through their fair share of injury right now, with Lackey and Santana on the disabled list. Vlad Guerrero just recently went on the DL, and it looks like he's probably going to be out for a month or so. Well, they're having to overcome some difficulty with the injuries.
They had a little bullpen meltdown last night. I was watching them in their game against the Tigers. Jose Arredondo having all kinds of trouble.
Their first baseman is not hitting at all. Kendry Morales. He basically was given the job to Shara left, and with free agency, of course. And he's off to a rough start, is Kendry Morales.
Two and 0 to Rod Barajas, and he rips it foul. On that subject, if you'd like to see the Angels tonight, just tune into Sportsnet West after this game is over. As the Tigers and Angels face off.
And of course, they've had to experience a tragedy also on top of everything else.
3-1 now on Barajas.
As I had a chance, I watched that young man pitch a pretty good portion of that ball game that evening. It was against the Oakland A's. We get a lot of their broadcasts back home, the A's broadcast. And not only the young man losing his life, but 2 others in the vehicle with him. It's just a tragic accident.
Here's a 3-1 pitch to Barajas. Goes for strike 2. Barajas waiting things out here against Millwood. If he happens to get on, Travis Snyder's on deck for the Jays. The payoff is on the way, and it's taken foul.
Looked like 3-2 slider to Rod Barajas. Which would lead you to believe two things. First of all, Kevin Millwood, a lot of confidence in his ability to throw it for a strike. And number two, probably fairly comfortable if he were to walk Rod Barajas with something other than a fastball, going after the young Travis Snyder, who's on deck.
2 out, 3 balls and 2 strikes. The runners break from the bag. The ball is hit hard on the ground by Barajas, and the throw is high, but Davis gets his foot down in time. What a play by the first baseman. I hate to say it of a big man, but he looked like a ballerina on that play.
He saved the shortstop Andrus, another error. And that's just a great effort to stay with it and record the out.
On and the Baltimore Orioles for 3, and then a quick 2-game series against the Cleveland Indians. So for tickets, call the number you see there, 416-341-1234. Now's the time to save a little money on flex packs. Gorgeous night in Toronto.
Beautiful shot of the city, isn't it?
The Rogers Center replete in blue.
That's why I always tell folks back home, if you want to go see some Major League Baseball in a beautiful city and really enjoy it, take the time to come to Toronto.
Back home being Visalia, California.
Actually, I think there are a couple of occasions this summer there's going to be some friends come with me.
Good.
And enjoy the city and the ballpark.
Andrus fouls that away.
And probably a few of these beautiful golf courses around here.
Yeah, I know you know about those. If you play a full season in the big leagues, whether American League or National League, you're going to see some beautiful parks, whether it's Fenway or Wrigley Field or Dodger Stadium. I still, to this day, in the middle of the summer, see a lot of players, opposing players, bringing their camera out and taking pictures of the CN Tower when the roof is open. As Andrus grounds it to third. Rolling with a hard throw to get him. On a beautiful summer day when that roof is cracked open, this is a great place to be.
Yeah, most of the time the weather's about perfect in the summer.
Back comes Ian Kinsler. He's 0 for 2. Kinsler, excuse me. And 0 for his last 8. And the last time Kinsler got a hit, it was a 7th inning home run off Roy Halladay Tuesday night. Rants earlier, Sam Cosentino touched on the early returns of Jesse Litch and Casey Janssen, likely early to mid-May. Someone will be called up to start Saturday against Chicago as Richmond throws a ball down and in 3-0. And you and I were talking before the game how if Matt Clement had decided to accept a AAA assignment, he might be in the big leagues right now.
If he had been throwing the ball well in Las Vegas, I don't think there's any question he'd have an opportunity here to, who knows, maybe rejuvenate his career.
3-1, and that's out of play. He was in the running near the end of spring for the 5th spot in the rotation, won eventually by this man, and then decided to hang him up for good, saying my heart really isn't in it.
And if that's the case, if your heart's really not in it, then it was the right decision.
3-2, and he blows it right past Kinsler. What a nice little performance there by Richmond, who fell behind 3-0 and ends up with the strikeout.
And this is nothing more than a challenge fastball, and he just throws it right by him.
So 2 retired in the 5th inning, and Michael Young now. Smokes the ball into center field. Vernon Wells plays it on a bounce, and Young has a 2-out hit.
And that's what a good hitter will do through the course of a ball game. In his first two at bats, Michael Young was pulling off, did not look good at all. This at bat, he lets the fastball get just a little bit deeper, and he'll drive it right back into center field. Well, the good ones are able to make those types of adjustments very quickly at bat to at bat.
And now we see Josh Hamilton again. Every hitter loads up a certain way. I've always been fascinated with Hamilton, the way he sort of cocks his wrists at the last second before attempting a swing.
He gets just a little bit of negative movement so that he can create a very good positive movement. There's a great view from the side. Just if you focus on his hands, it's almost like when the pitcher, in this case Richmond, when the hands break and his arm starts to go back, is when Hamilton will load up.
Young dives back. Let's go down quickly to Sam Cosentino again.
Well, Rance, it's not just the hands, but what Hamilton has done is reinitiate that toe tap in order to get his timing back. Tried to simplify his swing with hitting coach Rudy Jaramillo doing spring training. Just recently goes back to the toe tap where he feels more comfortable.
Worked out beautifully last time up. This time a fly ball into left. Snyder puts him away. And the top of the 5th is at an end. A hit for the Rangers, 1 left, no runs in, a 2-1 lead Toronto. Teagarden. So Travis Snider then, who lined out to center field in the third inning, gets his second time at the plate against Kevin Millwood. This the rubber match of a 3-game set. Texas won the opener. The Blue Jays took it in extra innings last night. And Toronto, as you probably know by now, has won the first 4 series of the season. They would love to make it 5 and head off to Chicago on a high. I'm Jamie Campbell with Rance Mullenix. Here's Snider, who caused quite a stir on opening night against Detroit, going 2 for 4 with a double and a home run to the opposite field off Justin Verlander. Last week in Minneapolis, he hit 2 home runs in 1 game. A shot off Kevin Slowey, another off Luis Ayala. Became the youngest Jay ever to hit 2 home runs in a ball game.
He's cooled off a little bit lately, and I think the reason for that is maybe trying to pull a little bit too much. He's been out in front quite often, hit some balls off the end of the bat.
Here's a 3-1 pitch. Now ball 4. Draws a walk to lead off the Jays half of the 5th. And how about his contribution last night when he dropped a sacrifice bunt in the 11th that moved Vernon Wells into scoring position?
A nice job to execute, get the bunt down. And sometimes, especially when you're a young hitter, if you hit a couple of home runs, maybe 2 in a game, and then you start to pull a little bit, probably pull too much, start trying to hit the ball out of the park, and it takes a while for you to get settled back into a good groove.
There's 33-year-old Marco Scutaro, and that pitch just misses him. A native of San Felipe in Venezuela. He was all over the infield last year. 41 games at third, 56 at short. He played 50 games at second base after Aaron Hill missed the rest of the season following May 29th. 2-0.
You look back to last season with that injury to Aaron Hill. Where would they have been? Marco Scutaro and the injury problems also to Scott Rowland. If they didn't have Marco Scutaro, where would they have been last year? Just a tremendous job.
Certainly a great pickup by general manager J.P. Ricciardi. That's fouled away. And you saw Hill on deck just the other day. Cito Gaston, and this is heady praise, likened him to Roberto Alomar in a number of different categories. His intensity, his focus, his ability at the plate, and his defensive play. He can do a little bit of everything and do it all well.
Robbie, for me, had a little maybe a half step, a step more range, and of course Robbie is a pretty good base stealer. Stole a lot of bases.
Scutaro grounds to Kinsler. And then Andrus over to first, finishes off the 4-6-3 double play.
It's about as easy as it gets. Ball hit very sharply right at the second baseman. Good hustle by Snider to get down. Good hard aggressive slide into Andrus, the shortstop.
So here is Aaron with 2 out.
But I think at least at this point in their respective careers, Aaron Hill, I wouldn't say he's a better hitter, but more power at this point than Robbie Alomar. People forget 2 years ago, Aaron hit 17 home runs, and he has 5 already in the early going this season. And I think that 17 tied Roberto Alomar's Jays record for second baseman at 17.
2 balls and a strike now on Aaron, who almost quit baseball at the age of 15 after his mom Vicky died in a very tragic car accident. And his family, including his dad Walt, had to talk him out of it, get him back playing baseball. Here's a young man who knows adversity. Lines the shot to left field. Murphy on the run. It's over his head off the base of the wall. Hill turns for second, and he has a 2-out double.
At his first at bat tonight, Hill lined out hard to the center fielder Hamilton, and then he looks, it's like a hanging slider, something off speed, that he jumps all over it and just drills it. A line drive over the left fielder's head in left field, hits right at the base of the wall. Well, he has a live bat. Ball really jumps off his bat. I know Gene Tennis told me the other day, he said, you know, I didn't realize how good a hitter this guy is. He said, you know, I had really never seen him. I came on board last year. Aaron was injured and didn't play the rest of the season. But he said, this guy can swing the bat.
So can Alex Rios. As Cito said the other day, it's going to take just the one home run, that first home run, to get him going. Perhaps the 4-hit game last night was a harbinger of good things to come for Rios. And Cito, as he promised, does not like to move players out of their order when they are struggling. Here's Alex every single day coming to the park and seeing his name scratched into the 3-hole. And he rips the ball to left field. Well stroked, and she is gone. And there it is, the first of the year. He just tattooed that baseball.
Well, the ball jumps off his bat pretty good also. And talked about it last night, mentioned it early in tonight's game. When he's right, that pitch right there, you do not consistently get past him. He is as quick as any right-handed hitter in baseball on the fastball middle end. That one was actually in a pretty good spot. And what's amazing about it is he's able to keep it fair. Most hitters would have to pull that pitch foul to hit it hard. And he drives it out of the ballpark.
Good to see Alex Rios back. Home run number 1. And a ground ball by Wells. Andrews to throw a little offline, but Wells is thrown out 6-3. Alex hits his first, the 3rd Blue Jay home run of the night, and the Blue Jays Blue Jays host the Orioles. It's Nestle Aaron Hill T-shirt giveaway day presented by 680 News to the first 5,000 kids 14 and under only. 416-341-1234 the number to call for tickets. Look at bluejays.com as well. Alex Rios' first home run of the year. A line shot over the wall and left has given Scott Richmond a little more breathing room now, as that one is tapped foul by Blaylock. The Blue Jays, on the strength of 3 home runs, have a 4-1 lead. We begin the 6th inning with Blaylock, Cruz, and Davis coming to the plate for Texas. In this ball game, Richmond has himself a new single-game career high of 6 strikeouts, and he's allowed 5 hits. Kevin Millwood, on the other hand, has also given up just 5 hits, but 3 of them have left the yard. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Blaylock.
This Jays ball club, if by the middle of this next month, if you could have Litch back, hopefully Ricky Romero is not serious and he can return quickly.
Hit hard, but hit into the shift as Aaron Hill in shallow right field throws out Blaylock. There's a great example as to how the shift works effectively.
You have advanced scouts and you have what they call a spray chart, which tells you where hitters on average are going to hit the baseball. And the scouting report sure paid off there. Aaron Hill in a perfect spot. But you could really, with Roy Halladay, the way Scott Richmond has pitched in the early going, you could really settle in to a nice rotation, and one that might be good enough to really surprise a lot of people this year, because the club is going to hit. And I don't think there's a team in baseball that plays better defense than the Jays, and they have great range. They get to a lot of balls that a lot of other teams don't.
This one is popped up, and Barajas chases it over near the dugout, but it bounces off the seats and well out of play.
And there's the possibility that you may have McGowan back. Well, let's just
eventually
say, somewhere maybe around June 1st, somewhere between June and July.
Look at where Lyle Overbay is standing there, well off first base. Nelson Cruz looks at ball 2.
And in contrast, if you look at the outfield, they're pretty much playing Cruz straight up. The infield, the shortstop a step to pull, definitely Overbay shading him to pull. Aaron Hill shading the middle. What that tells you is when Cruz hits the ball on the ground, he's much more pull. When he hits it in the air, he's straight away.
The 2-2 pitch on the way. Sky to center field. And Vernon Wells awaits the arrival. What do you think of Scott Richmond's outing so far?
With the exception of the bump in the road when he loaded the bases, but struck out Teagarden, he has been, outstanding tonight. The 1 run was a home run off the bat of Hamilton, which really wasn't that bad pitch. It beat him just a little bit, but Hamilton's so strong he muscled it out of the ballpark.
This ball is stroked to right field. Alex Rios heading back. It's up and over the wall, a home run, as Chris Davis contributes a solo for the 5th home run combined on the night. Rance, I guess if you're going to give him up, make sure there's nobody on.
That solo home run doesn't do near the damage that the 3-run does. But I do have to say, I'm a little surprised they started Davis with a fastball here. And again, they didn't get it above the belt, but he looked so bad on the curveball in his last at bat. It's like there was no attempt to adjust. And they threw him 4 of them, and he swung at 3 and looked terrible. But again, if they get that pitch above the belt like they were trying to, you probably get a different result.
So Texas and Toronto, in the 3 games combined, have hit collectively 11 home runs. And suddenly Richmond falls behind David Murphy.
Now, the last couple of pitches, the front side flew open just a little bit early, and then the arm has not been able to catch up those last 2 pitches off the plate.
There's a strike. Boy, I bet the Rangers can't wait to make their first trip to Yankee Stadium. That doesn't come until the 2nd of June, as Richmond loses David Murphy. The balls are flying so frequently out of that new stadium in the Bronx that even general manager Brian Cashman said yesterday they might have to monitor the frequency of homers at the new venue. To which I thought, what are you going to do? Like restructure the stadium? It's built. It's there. Move back the fences?
I don't know.
I don't think you can do that.
I guess they could do, put up some sort of structure up above the stadium or in a specific location to keep the wind from whipping through there or blowing out to right field so much.
Teagarden pops this one up and well out of play.
The walk to David Murphy, I think, was a result of the home run hit by Davis. Scott Richmond appeared to me to be just a little bit frustrated with himself, and maybe therefore a hitter lost his focus just a bit.
Well, he has struck out Teagarden twice, the last time with the bases loaded. And if he can get him here, he'll get cleanly through 6 with really little damage. And that's what Cito Gaston asks of his starting pitchers. He likes to see them get 6. David Percy last night, 5 1/3, allowed the bullpen to do their job. Mind you, that bullpen was well used last night. 5 different pitchers made an appearance. 1-1 to Teagarden, and he waves at the breaking ball. A ball and 2 strikes. Brandon League is up and throwing.
And the last time we saw him on Tuesday night, pitched the 9th inning, he was nasty. Had an excellent fastball with movement, throwing very hard, and threw some outstanding split finger fastballs.
Here's the 1-2. And Teagarden doesn't chase it. Now, if you're wondering, with B.J. Ryan on the disabled list, who now becomes the closer? Well, tonight, prior to game time, Cito Gaston had not made that decision. But after tonight, the responsibilities will likely go to Scott Downs. He's unavailable to pitch in this ball game. 2-2. Swung on and missed and caught by Barajas. Strikeout number 8 for Scott Richmond. And when we come back, an interesting tale on this home run. Stay tuned for that. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. hit this home run to right field, and did so incredibly with a broken bat. You don't see that often. Mind you, it wasn't the barrel that came apart, it was the handle. Look at that piece. He turned his bat into a pool cue.
That leads you to believe that there must have been a small crack down there towards the handle of the bat to begin with. I've never seen that before.
Either that or he has exceedingly strong wrists. Well, mind you, it's a new thing every night here, Rance. We saw a pitcher come into the game wearing somebody else's jersey last night.
Well, that's a first for me. Davis, no doubt, is a very strong young man.
Strike one to Adam Lind. And listen, just a follow-up to that story of Darren O'Day, who started his day getting a phone call at 1:45 yesterday afternoon in Panama City, Florida, saying you've got to get to Toronto to pitch for the Rangers. As it's grounded foul, he came in the 11th and gave up the eventual game-winning hit to Kevin Millar wearing Kaysen Gabbard's jersey. Well, Gabbard was done the great disservice of being traded by the Texas Rangers today back to the Boston Red Sox. One ball and two strikes as Millwood faces Lind. Adam holds up 2-2. Gabbard will immediately report to AAA Pawtucket. Of course, he was a Red Sox initially and went to Texas in the Eric Gagne deal. That's muscled foul by Lind. If you missed it last night, look at the reception for a guy that they'd never really met before. Darren O'Day, although they faced him last year when he spent the entire season with the Angels. Welcome to the club. Nice jersey, by the way, even though you aren't Kaysen Gabbard. Swung on and missed. Lind is gone. That's great.
The Jays on Rogers Sportsnet, brought to you by Home Hardware and Home Hardware Building Center. Homeowners helping homeowners.
Downtown Toronto, that's City Hall. Right at Queen Street West and Bay. This is Scott Rowland facing Kevin Millwood. Rowland is 1-for-2. By the way, O'Day last night touched down in Toronto, got off the plane in Toronto at 9:45 p.m. as the 8th inning was underway here. Jumped in a cab, came to the ballpark, put on the jersey, warmed up for a while, and got into the game. What a day. Or what O'Day. 2-1 on Rowland. Now 3 balls and a strike.
Scott Rowland possibly 3-1, might have chased ball 4, although the second pitch in this at bat was called a strike that appeared to be down. Scott Rowland, questioned the call.
3-2, line to right field, and Nelson Cruz battles the lights again. His body language tells you that was not an easy catch to make.
Nice job to stay with it. You can see him trying to. Reason why he's kind of squatting down, getting lower there, is he's trying to get that ball underneath the lights to get it to come out of that plane, and was able to stay with it.
Here's Overbay, 1 for 1. He's got a home run and walked. And may well not be in the starting lineup tomorrow night in Chicago when left-hander Mark Burley goes for the White Sox.
Yeah, the way Kevin Millar is swinging the bat right now. Probably see him in the lineup tomorrow.
That is indeed a broken bat. And that's an out, 3 unassisted. 1, 2, 3, 6 for Millwood. The Blue Jays enjoy a 2-run lead. Fans signing some autographs. He's supposed to be joining us from the TD Canada Trust Comfort Zone. We trust he still will once he makes his way to his seat. And this was Cujo with Greg Zahn back in November when Nick Kiprios challenged Greg Zahn to basically a game of showdown. Kiprios said for the most part he could go 10 for 10 on Zahn. Zahn, of course, said no way, and actually made 2 saves on Kiprios at the Maple Leafs practice rink. And I think the reason Greg Zahn was so successful in that battle against Nick Kiprios is because he got the tutelage of one Curtis Joseph, who joins us right now. Curtis, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Welcome aboard. Boy, we just got a great example of what it's like to be you in this city. We ask you to come down for an interview, and you get stopped by all kinds of people wanting autographs and pictures. I guess you get used to that after a while, eh?
Yes, and it's I don't begrudge that because that's what I wish for as a kid. So I'm very happy to oblige.
Good for you. Well, thanks for joining us, and I know you're no stranger to this place. Certainly a fan of the Blue Jays. You come to many games. Although I know you'd rather be playing postseason hockey right now.
Right, I would, and there's nothing like postseason hockey. It's the best hockey, and it's the most intense, and it's worth the most. So certainly I would, but I got my 3 boys with me tonight, and they love baseball as I do.
Now assess Greg Zahn as a goaltender.
If he could skate, he'd be a lot better.
Hey, Curtis,
he wasn't bad though.
No, he's got big legs, and obviously he can catch, but it's different when you're on a slippery surface.
Hey, Curtis, did they really go all out with the good firm, slap shot, or did they back off on him a little bit?
No, they gave him some good moves and shot the puck hard, but they didn't run him over.
No,
which is postseason hockey.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and Nick Kiprios knows something about that, doesn't he?
Right.
Well, we won't get into that because chances are Nick's watching.
Right, that's his best skill.
Yeah. The one play he's probably most famous for.
Right, that's kind of rough.
Well,
his best skill is running into the goalie.
He's not on this broadcast. He's got no defense.
That's right.
3 balls and no strikes on Ian Kinsler. As Brandon League in to relieve Scott Richmond. Did you play a lot of ball growing up in, I think it was Keswick. Was it Keswick, Ontario?
Right, or I'm actually from East Gwillimbury, but we played fastball.
Uh-huh.
And I love baseball, and my kids all play this kind of baseball, and 2 of the boys are pitchers. Here comes a ball right now.
Heads up, guys. Now, you gave Zahn the opportunity to get dressed and play a little goal. Has he or any other Blue Jay return that kind of a favor to you? Have you ever had a chance to catch Roy Halladay or take some hacks against some of these guys?
No, but this summer I'm going to. I've been offered Kevin Malloy as the trainer here, and he's very good to me and my family. So I am going to take batting practice, me and Matt Stajan, and I'm not sure I can hit one out, but I'm hoping to.
Good stuff. Oh, that'll be fun.
Right, and then I would love to catch Roy. That'd be a thrill.
Do you know who they're going to have throw to you?
No, I don't, but
Rance Mullenix.
If I were in town and were able to do it, I would be more than glad to throw batting practice to you.
Well,
I would love the opportunity to try to knock the bat out of your hand.
How about Josh Hamilton's pitcher in the All-Star game?
Oh, Clay Counsell, 71 years of age.
Yes, and it looked like he could throw him right in there.
Yes, well, Josh is also quite a strong young man.
Right. As we saw tonight.
Yes. Here's Michael Young as we talk to Curtis Joseph. There's Hamilton.
Do your boys like baseball better than hockey right now at this stage?
It's very seasonal. So when hockey season's on, they love hockey, and when baseball season's on, they switch right over.
What's your future in hockey? Are you playing next year?
I'm not sure. It's up to me. If it was up to me, yes.
Because it's the old theory, right? You play until they tear that jersey off you.
Right. So they haven't torn it off yet, but I know one day it'll happen.
Well, we wish you the best. Here's a 1-1 offering from League to Michael Young. The Jays with a 2-run lead. And that ball is scorched down the line and just out of play. Our guest is Curtis Joseph. Did you watch a lot of Blue Jays baseball growing up?
Yes, I did. So I had the good fortune of seeing a lot of good teams here.
Yeah, no question there. And so far, so good. Are you, if you follow this team at all, are you a little surprised that they're 11-5?
I love the prediction at the beginning of the year, and I forget who it was, but the Jays are this year's Tampa's team.
Wow.
Right?
Well, we'll see. We've got several months to go, but Curtis, thanks so much for joining us.
Right. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Curtis Joseph and his kids at the ballpark today watching the Jays leading Texas 4-2. We'll be back after this. Telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Ladies' night out at the ballpark, and so far they've enjoyed it. A 4-2 Blue Jay lead into the bottom of the 7th inning. Kevin Millwood continues on for Texas. He'll see the 8, 9, and 1 hitters in Barajas, Snyder, and Scudero. Barajas grounds to third. Michael Young tight at the line, throws out Rod for the first out. And now it's Snyder's turn. Rance, in your time, I'm sure you've seen a lot of rookies come and go, and really there's a way they're expected to behave. And so far, Snyder appears to be a very humble young man. I like what Lyle Overbay said. He, quote, already knows the difference between being too cocky and not confident enough.
Well, there's a difference, I think. I believe that he's a very confident young man, but he's very humble. If you ever have the opportunity to meet him, he is just a pleasure to be around. And
veteran big leaguers, you would know this, appreciate humility in a rookie, because they don't want some kid coming in and thinking he's better than guys who have 10 years in the big leagues.
And I think that's pretty much true of any profession. When somebody comes in and they really haven't proven themselves at this level, you expect them to, respect those who have already established themselves as major leaguers, in some cases have been all-stars, and here or there a future Hall of Famer. But he is a fine young man. I never see him or run into him anywhere where he doesn't shake your hand, ask you how you're doing.
Strike three called. He's gone looking, and that's the second out. Time for our second set of fastbacks, brought to you by Rogers High-Speed Internet, the fastest and most reliable, period. The Blue Jays have 10 hits or more in 8 of 16 games so far this season. Just 5 in this ball game, but they have made them count. Here's Scudero bouncing one down the line and just foul, as we get another word from Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie, back to being the doctor once again. As far as B.J. Ryan is concerned, he's scheduled to see a specialist in Dallas either Monday or Tuesday. As for his yet to be named replacement, Cito Gaston would prefer a long guy, and so those thinking that Jeremy Accardo might be the guy, probably not the case. Maybe a Brian Wolf or even a Wade Miller, who has started, to give him innings.
It certainly will be interesting to see who they go to, because at first glance, especially considering that Accardo has 3 saves in Las Vegas and the closer is the one going on the DL, you would figure Accardo would be a natural.
Yes, but I think Cito Gaston has a lot of confidence in Scott Downs to step in, fill that role. And if you can be a great setup man in the 8th, there is a little bit of a difference, especially in terms of mentality, as far as being a setup man and then becoming a closer goes. But I think Scotty Downs can do a fine job as a closer.
We may find out even before this broadcast ends who the relief pitcher will be, and if that's the case, obviously we'll pass along the information.
And I think Cito may take the approach of, if it's the 9th where 2 of the 3 hitters are left-handed, you go with Downs. If 2 or 3 are right, maybe you go with Frazier. You just kind of manage it that way, so to speak.
This shot backs up Cruz, and he backs up against the wall to make a fine catch. Had to turn around and make it trotting backwards. But Scudero tests the right fielder. And Millwood's able to get a 1-2-3 7th. All the runs in this game accounted for by way of the home run. The Blue Jays have 3. Texas has 2. It's a 4-2 lead for Toronto as they go to Jesse Carlson, who will pitch the 8th inning.
Jesse, just the 4 hits allowed. And his last couple outings, he has been very good. And he'll be called upon to go to get 3, 4, and 5 here in the 8th inning.
Last night he pitched an inning and a third and retired the 4 batters he faced. Here he has to deal with Josh Hamilton, Hank Blaylock, and then Nelson Cruz, the first 2 left-handers. 0-2 on Hamilton. So respected is Hamilton that he's one of the few players in recent Major League history to have been issued an intentional base on balls with the bases loaded. That happened last August when Tampa Bay had a 7-3 lead on Texas. You can see the power he showed it off in the 4th. Joe Madden ordered, and I must say the aptly named Grant Balfour, to put Hamilton on, deliberately forcing in a run.
If you think about it, considering the situation, it made a lot of sense.
Surely did.
I've never seen anyone walk with the bases loaded. The closest many years ago in 1980, and I was with the Royals, and Brett, that was the year Brett hit 390 with runners at first and second and 2 out. I saw Earl Weaver have Tim Stoddard put him on intentionally to load the bases to pitch to Amos Otis in a tie ball game. And wouldn't you know it, Stoddard walked Otis to force in the winning run.
Buck Showalter had Barry Bonds intentionally walked back in '98 with the bases loaded, as Hamilton lost the ball into left field. So he gets on in the 8th inning with a single. Now, what Joe Madden did last year ended up working out because Dan Wheeler was brought in to face Marlon Byrd and struck him out. The Rays ended up winning the game 7-4. Interesting tactics, though. Here's Blaylock, who is 1 for 3. Carlson the pitch. Hits ball 1. The only trouble that Scott Richmond experienced all night came in the 4th inning after Hamilton hit the home run. Blaylock doubled. Nelson Cruz then singled. And once Richmond had struck out Davis and walked Murphy to load him up, he struck out Taylor Teagarden to end the threat and allow just the 1 4th inning run. One pitch, and it's caught by Barajas. A ball and 2 strikes.
Oh, at that last swing, Hank Blaylock was not trying to hit a single. His intentions were to try to tie the ball game up. And he is ripe for the good breaking ball here.
There's right-hander Sean Camp. He too pitched in last night's game. An 11-inning affair. 2-2. Carlson wheels and deals and gets the strikeout of Blaylock.
Great 2-2 pitch from Carlson. Perfect location right on the corner on the black, knee high.
Nelson Cruz now. He is 2 for 3 with a pair of singles. Strike one.
You know, Hunter Wendelstedt, if there's any particular pitch he has kind of a preference for, it is the ball that's down just slightly below the knees. He will give you, at times, a strike with that pitch. He's done it a few times tonight. That first pitch to Cruz could have went either way.
That's fouled off Barajas. This is actually, as you might recall, the second time Wendelstedt has been behind the plate in this series, because he's the man that took over after Kerwin Danley was felled by Blaylock's bat in the 6th inning on Tuesday. And it didn't take him long in that game to start jawing with Ron Washington, the manager of the Rangers. 1-2. Man at first for Texas. Swung on and missed. And say goodnight, Mr. Cruz. He too goes down on strikes.
A good curveball from Jesse Carlson, and Cruz a little out in front and swings over the top of it.
Andrew Jones has come into the on-deck circle. You know, it's a wonder, Rance, that Jesse Carlson spent 6 years in the minor leagues with 4 different organizations, given what he was able to accomplish last year and what he's been able to do so far this year.
Yeah, just sometimes, for whatever reason, it just takes a while for a young pitcher or player to figure some things out, and finally Jesse Carlson was able to do that and has really established himself as a fine reliever at the major league level. He has been tremendous going back to 08 and so far here in 09.
And once Jones is announced, Cito makes his move, going to the right-hander camp. So this pitching change is brought to you by Robax Platinum, helping you walk away from back pain. Customer Andrew Jones pinch hits for Chris Davis in the 8th inning. Man on first is Josh Hamilton. 2 gone by way of the strikeout. Carlson did a number on Blaylock and Cruz, and now Camp is called upon to get Jones. Andrew goes around on the first offering, 0-1. 2 out of the pitch is off the plate to Jones, who today turns 32 years of age.
And if you're Sean Camp, if you come inside, come way in, or try to keep the ball right out there on him, stay away. Jones in this situation, he's primarily developed into a pull hitter, and right here in this situation, no doubt is looking for something middle in that he can drive out of the ballpark and tie the game up.
1-2, and it's tapped foul. In short, do not make a mistake.
Don't make a mistake middle in. If you try to go in, maybe especially with the count 1-2, if you go inside, just make sure you get it off the plate in there. If he swings at it and gets himself out, fine. If not, at least you've put the thought in his mind that you will come inside and then go back away.
Camp deals, and he goes. Andrew Jones down on strikes as Camp combines with Carlson to strike out the side. Bottom of the 8th upcoming, and the Blue Jays are ahead 4-2. You're watching Blue Jays baseball.
The Jays on Rogers Sportsnet, brought to you by Home Hardware and Home Hardware Building Center. Homeowners helping homeowners.
It is indeed a beautiful night here in Toronto. Always a good night for baseball, and we're so grateful that you've joined us on Rogers Sportsnet to watch the Blue Jays and the Rangers. This is Jamie Campbell with Rance Mulliniks, Sam Cosentino, and Scott Carson, our Sportsnet.ca columnist. Watching Jason Jennings, who takes over now for Kevin Millwood. Millwood going 7, allowing 4 earned runs, and departing, trailing the game 4-2.
And, we've all thought up to this point that Scott Downs was not available for the ball game tonight, but guess who's up throwing in the bullpen?
Well, we go by what the manager tells us prior to the game.
Yeah, maybe Scott Downs told him in a conversation after Cito's interview that, hey, I can go. There's no other reason for him to be up and throwing in the bullpen at this time.
Well,
if he's not coming in.
Yeah, if it all stays the same here, it would be a safe situation as the ball rolls to Andrus. He has a hard time getting it out of his glove. And if Curtis Joseph is still down there in the TD Canada Trust comfort zone, I hope he ducked. Boy, Rance, this kid has been certainly promoted as an outstanding defensive player, but we have seen him have all kinds of trouble getting the ball to first in this series.
Well, he's had some throwing problems. Some of it's due to because he's been laying back on the baseball a little bit. This one, he comes and gets it hard, but you'll watch right here when he goes to make the transfer, he has a little trouble coming clean with it. Right there, he double clutches. Then he knows he has to hurry and throws it away. I think even if the throw's on the bag, Hill beats it. Almost a chance for a save over there.
Almost. So Andrews is charged with his second error of the night. And here are the Blue Jays hoping to take advantage of this opportunity. As we learned last night, Rance, there is nothing safe about a 3-run lead in the 9th inning. Certainly the Blue Jays would like to add a few here in the 8th inning, and Alex Rios is swinging a hot bat.
One more would be huge. That gives you a 3-run cushion.
One ball and one strike. Now 2-1. Alex finally got out of his home run hitting slump to start the year with a bullet his last time up. He smacked one into the bullpen against Millwood with Hill at second base. And he lost that ball into center field. Hamilton was back, but he comes in to make the catch, and Hill trots back to second. Looks like it hung up just a little too long.
And in the end, it doesn't look like an outstanding play, but Hamilton had a long way to go. You could see where he was positioned there. A great jump and closed very quickly on the ball off the bat of Alex Rios. Boy, for a man his size, he can run too. And he covered a lot of ground and closed on that baseball very quickly.
Vernon Wells also has a home run in this game. That came in the second inning, a solo affair against Millwood.
Second time we've seen Jennings in this series, and against right-handers, he really likes to use his breaking ball. Wants to make you hit that if he can. Tries to mix the fastball in just enough to keep you honest.
Here's a ground ball to third, and Wells does not advance the runner. A programming note on tomorrow night's game. Join us at 7:30 Eastern Time for the pregame show. It's the Blue Jays and White Sox in the first of a 3-game series. Some traffic to inform you about. This game can be found on Sportsnet Ontario and Sportsnet Pacific. Sportsnet West and Sportsnet East get the Yankees and the Red Sox tomorrow night. So the Jays on Rogers Sportsnet, available on 2 channels for the first of a 3-game set in Chicago. Adam Lind is 0 for 3. Both his hits last night came off Derek Holland, a young left-hander making his big league debut. Strike one from Jennings. The Jays this year have been quite effective driving in runners with 2 outs. And here's Lind attempting to do just that with Aaron Hill up at second. 2 gone in the 8th inning. Ball 1.
First base open and rolling on deck, a right-handed hitter. You would think that the Texas Rangers would pitch very carefully to Adam Lind in this situation. I think Jennings has a lot of confidence in his ability to get right-handed hitters out and would prefer that matchup.
2 balls and 1 strike. Jennings with the kick and the pitch, and Lynn chases it. It was in the dirt and would have been ball 3.
And
but it squares the count at 2-2.
Excuse me, Jamie. That's where a young hitter has to recognize what's happening. Every pitch to him in this at bat has been nothing but off speed. The 2 previous pitches prior to the check swing on the curveball in the dirt were well down and off the plate. And that tells you got to tell yourself, I need to be very, very patient here, because it's apparent to me they don't care if they walk me. They'll let me get myself out, but they're not going to give in to me.
Another off-speed pitch, and it's a full count to Lind.
And that's just part of the maturing as a hitter.
Scott Rowland's on deck.
Sometimes, on occasions, after nothing but off-speed pitches and you get to a 3-2 count, once in a while they may try to surprise you with a fastball in, because they know there's no way you can be looking for it. But another breaking ball, and that is all. It's either been a curveball or a changeup. That's all he's seen in this at bat.
Ball 4 on yet another breaking ball from Jason Jennings, who pitches in relief of Kevin Millwood. Millwood tonight 7 innings.
Kevin Millwood actually pitched very well tonight, with the exception of a couple of mistakes that got a hit out of the ballpark. He gave up just the 5 hits, but 3 of them were home runs. 1 a 2-run home run by Alex Rios, and that's the difference in this ball game this evening.
So Lynn got a steady diet of off-speed pitches. We'll find out what's in store for Scott Rowland with 2 on and 2 out.
He started the previous 2 right-handed hitters with breaking balls, and that looked like a slider that was hanging a little bit. Pretty good pitch to hit, and Rowland missed it, fouling it off over here to the right side. And that's what he threw. I should say 3. He threw Rios, Wells, and Hill. First pitch breaking balls.
0-1 now. Now 1-1. Two men on for the Blue Jays. Rowland swings and misses and falls behind in the count. Lind at first, Aaron Hill at second. A ball and 2 strikes on Rowland. Jason Jennings sets, double checks, and then fires, and it's off the end of the bat and out of play.
Nice job by Scott Rowland to spoil a tough pitch, 1-2. And you never know, once in a while you fight a couple of tough ones off and pitcher makes a mistake and you can take advantage.
The 1-2, and now it's 2-2.
And that breaking ball of Jennings, it must have some good late movement to it, because we haven't seen anyone yet in this inning take a swing where they looked like they had recognized that pitch and had it timed.
You've got a left-handed hitter in Lyle Overbay on deck. The Rangers have a left-hander warming up in the bullpen. There's everyday Eddie Guardado. 2 men on in the 8th inning. The Blue Jays holding on to a 4-2 lead. Scott Rowland on the 2-2. Base hit to left field. Hill charges around third, and there's a bonus run. Into third goes Lind. The ball gets away. Everybody holds their ground, and Scott Rowland has made it a 3-run lead.
Give Scott Rowland a lot of credit. Fell behind in the count 1-2. Fought off a couple of very tough pitches and finally gets one he can handle and drives it hard into left field. And some good base running here by Adam Lind. He never hesitated going to third all the way. That ball's in front of him, so it's clearly his decision to attempt to move over to third or not. Good aggressive base running from Adam Lind.
Here comes Overbay then. Second and third for the Jays.
You think they got to put him on, no question, to pitch to the right-handed hitting Barajas.
Teagarden calls for the intentional walk. Funny, today in Philadelphia, Dave Bush came within 4 outs of a no-hitter until Matt Stairs hit a pinch hit home run. You might remember in Milwaukee last year, Bush took a no-hitter into the 8th inning against the Jays, and it was Overbay with a triple who broke up that attempt. So former Jays, or even current Jays, have really messed with Dave Bush's attempts to pitch a no-no in the big leagues.
Speaking of Matt Stairs, what about that home run he hit against the Dodgers in L.A. last year?
You're still thinking about that, eh?
Oh, man, that was a bomb. I've been to Dodger Stadium, and where that ball came down is a long ways from home plate.
That was 6 months ago, Rance.
It was a beautiful thing, though.
Here's the force at second, and Jennings gets out of this, but the Jays pick up a very important run, and the save situation presents itself to Scott Downs, who comes in to try and close out the Rangers. Among middle relievers, Scott Downs has been effective enough that he has fashioned a 1.70 ERA, and he's in some pretty good company there, but this gives you a good idea as to how good Downs has been in recent times. Jesse Carlson is on the list. This is from the start of last season, and he will be the closer tonight. Though Cito Gaston said he was not available for tonight's ball game, clearly something has changed.
They probably had a conversation with Scott Downs after he met with the media and spoke with everybody this afternoon. Maybe, and who knows, maybe Scott Downs went to Cito Gaston and said, hey, I'm available. I can go tonight if you need me.
Ground ball, backhanded by Hill. Off balance throw to first, and the play is made by Overbay. Solid middle infield defense gets the first out.
Well, it's kind of becoming redundant. Another outstanding defensive play by these Jays. This time it's Aaron Hill. And a great play on the back end by Lyle Overbay to handle a tough hop. That right there is outstanding defensive work at first base also.
Here's Taylor Teagarden again. You saw J.P. Howell's name on that list of relievers. Teagarden caught Howell at the University of Texas, along with current Colorado closer Houston Street. 3 strikeouts in this ball game, all at the hands of Scott Richmond. So at the very least, he's happy to see Richmond sitting on the bench. Downs, sorry, go ahead, Rance.
I was just going to say, speaking of Scott Richmond, 6 innings of work, just the 2 runs allowed. Both of those solo home runs. He did an outstanding job this evening.
And he's in position to pick up his 2nd victory. He'll need some help from Scott Downs.
Well, we know this much with this ball club and this defense. You go 6 innings, give up 2 runs, you're going to win a lot of ball games.
Sounds like the old days, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Those early 90s teams. 1-2 on Teagarden. Downs from the stretch, fires inside, 2-2. Scott's last save was May the 14th of 2008 in Minneapolis. He saved Roy Halladay's victory over Boof Bonzer that night. So it's been a while for Scott. Two-two pitch. Strike 3. Teagarden goes Downs.
For the
that's
fourth,
number 2.
Excuse me, Jamie. For the 4th time tonight with a curveball, and you know, Scott Richmond and Scott Downs have really worn him out with some good curveballs this evening.
Martin Guyard, Sean McCormick standing by. You'll get comments from the locker room on this game and coverage from the playoffs in both the NHL and the NBA. The Blue Jays an out away now from winning the series after losing the opener. And keep this in mind. The last team to win 5 straight series to start a season, the 2003 San Francisco Giants. Last team in the American League was Seattle in 01. So the Jays have an opportunity to do that right here, right now, with a victory over Texas. They've won the first 4, defeating the Tigers, the Indians, the Twins, and the A's, and now a chance to take 2 of 3 from the Rangers. Rookie Elvis Andrus is behind a ball and 2 strikes. One and 2. Downs is set. Here's the pitch. And it's lined to Hill. Ball game. That's the ball game. The Blue Jays have won their 5th consecutive series to start the year and move to a very impressive 12-5. There's a new closer in town. He just got